So I know I sent you this list earlier of everything we're talking about tonight, and there's probably going to be more of it, obviously, as things develop. But what do you? First of all, do you think that the Nuggets are going to? I mean, we'll talk about this later, but do you think they're going to close it out tonight?
Yeah, it's
feels that way, right? And they're back in Denver now too, so it's just
There's no answer. There's no answers. There's just such nobody talks about how well of a built team the Nuggets are.
Yeah,
I mean, you have Aaron Gordon, who they traded for from Orlando, dropping 27 the other night. I mean, so someone can have an off night, and then your guy can drop 27 on you. You know, it's nuts. It's so well constructed. So,
yeah, they're going to be a tough team to beat, and that's the problem. It's what I was saying on our text chain the other day. It's like if Miami plays the perfect game, they can win. Denver can just play an average game and still have a good chance of winning. They may not win, but they just have to be pretty good. Miami has to be perfect to have a chance. And you can't do that for, in a 7-game series. You're not going to be perfect every single game for 4 or 5 of those 7. It's incredibly rare for that to happen.
They have to be perfect, and then Denver has to be average. Right. Because if Denver's perfect and Miami's perfect, it's just advantage. Yeah. It's advantage Denver. It's crazy. You know, they're talking about making Jokic a scorer, not a passer. I mean, how crazy is that, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you only held him to 45 points, but he only had 6 assists. Yeah. Jeez, my God, how good is this guy?
A win for you?
Yeah. Good is this guy? My gosh.
Scary, man.
Yeah.
Scary good, dude. Anyway, well, I guess we might as well get the show actually started here. We're sitting there talking and haven't even played in everything, so.
Play us in.
Play us in, Charlie. All right, let's get this sucker on the road. Here we go.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Oh, yeah. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to you, brother. Good to have you here. Good to see you, man.
Always a good time. Always a good time to see you. Yeah.
We're going to have a good time tonight, and certainly welcome as well to our global audience. Hello. We appreciate you checking us out. The Army grows literally daily, and every time we do another one of these episodes, we find ourselves breaking more records and having more people checking us out. And welcome to our global audience. I saw on our most recent stats that 5% of our audience right now is in Canada, and I think it's 4% maybe in the UK, and so many others. Australia. I think 2.5% of our listeners are in Australia. So welcome to our global audience. Good to have you.
Great to have you.
And man, we're gonna have a good time tonight. So we got a whole bunch of stories. We're gonna roll through them. Again, we like to explain this at the beginning of every show because we do have so many new people joining us all the time. Just kind of what we do, how we do it. Essentially, we have a list of stories. Some of these are going to be news headlines. Some of them are current events with just things we've seen in sports or anything else. Some of them are funny stories that we've lived or that we saw in the news or anything else. We know ahead of time just kind of like what the list is going to be that we're going to talk about. We don't have any idea what either one of us are going to say about it. We don't have any clue what each other's take is going to be on some of these things. Sometimes, we're talking about controversial stories. We don't talk about them ahead of time. So, you hear them in real time as we come up with them. So, hopefully we don't offend anybody. Hopefully we don't say anything too reckless, but we try to give it to you straight. The show is literally called "You Get the Horns," so we don't pull any punches here, and we have a good time running through this stuff. So I think tonight we might as well just hit it right out of the gate, right? I mean,
yeah, You already set it up, so you might as well.
Gotta stick with this. So let's wade into some deep waters here.
Do you ever remember that lamb chop show? Sherry, I don't know what her name was. Lamb chop, we call her. And that song, this is a song that never ends. Yeah, this is the story that just is never ever going to end. I swear. Yeah. And it's not like we are trying to find these stories, right? Like they are just happening all the time. It's just, it's like the universe just wants us to talk about it, I suppose. So here we are.
Every time we think it's out of the news, it comes back in the news, and we got to talk about it. We might as well let people know what we're referring to. It's this whole Bud Light controversy and Anheuser-Busch and Dylan Mulvaney and a little bit of like stuff with Target, of course, as well, because that controversy's been, exploding. But particularly this Bud Light thing has just, grown and grown and grown. And every time you assume that it's just done, it's not. And some new thing comes up. And, it takes a little bit of time for stats to be finalized on sales. We talked a couple of weeks ago about Bud Light having a Memorial Day rebate. A special is the Bud Light Family U.S. Memorial Day savings rebate or some stupid thing. Some ridiculously named thing. So, and we said like, whoa, we're going to be really curious if it works, because it got to the point where Bud Light's been giving beer away. They were giving this rebate that was equivalent to, and in some cases greater than, the cost of purchasing the beer. So they're just trying to give beer away. Now, the thing that a lot of people don't, maybe fully understand and or just haven't thought about, beer has freshness dates. So when you have all of this beer sitting on all of these shelves in all of these stores all over the country and in the world, it's all a ticking time bomb.
Oh, yeah.
It's all going to expire at a certain point. And so what ends up happening is the cost for Bud Light to have to take all that beer back would be significant. I mean, they got to send all the drivers out. They got to load all the beer back up. They got to take it all back to their place, and they have to dispose of all of it. So it's actually easier and cheaper for them to just give it away than it is to actually have to take it back. And so we said at the time, okay, well, here's they're doing all this stuff. Memorial Day weekend's a huge weekend for them. They're really needing something to happen. Let's see, what it does for them. So reports of Bud Light Memorial Day sales are that they dropped as much as 60%.
Jeez.
60% drop in Bud Light sales over Memorial Day. I mean, it couldn't be worse, right? Like so sales have consistently been down around 25%.
Yeah.
You would think, okay, the nightmare is that not only does it not improve any, but what if it actually stays the same or gets slightly worse? 60% is an absolute bloodbath. I mean, that just doesn't seem possible. And they have the report here that numbers are suffering primarily due to a decline in Bud Light sales that reached as high as a 60% drop-off over the week that ended on Memorial Day. And so, again, most people are going to be buying their Bud Light ahead of Memorial Day. They're not going out the day after Memorial Day to buy up their Bud Light, so they would have been buying it ahead of time, and it's bad. And so for the week ending May 20th, Bud Light sales across the U.S. fell nearly 26% compared to the same period last year. For the week ending May 6th, in-store sales plummeted 23.6%, and the week before that, ending April 29th, sales dropped 23.3%. So it has legit been 25% a week, pretty much every week since this started, and now 60% drop off for Bud Light sales over Memorial Day week.
Can you believe
What do you
that?
think?
That is insane. I saw one store was trying to sell a 24-pack for like $3.49. I mean, you have to be trying to get rid of this stuff. Like you brought up a great point. What do they do when you've hit the shelf life? Are they just going to throw it in the dumpster? I don't know that Bud Light's going to come back and get it. Are they going to come back and get it? I don't know. I don't know that they've ever run into this issue to even know what to do. Like, I'm not sure that's a contingency plan that they ever had. And then stores, like, that's valuable space. The stores are like, come on, man. Like, you know, either figure something out or get the stuff out of here. So, oh man, that is
it's
rough.
crazy.
Yeah, that's rough, man.
Yeah, and you figure in this situation, right? And we talked about this on a previous episode, that now, later part of the summer is when stores have to allocate their shelf space and place their orders and things like that. So all of these stores that haven't been able to move Bud Light, there's a high likelihood they're going to start to allocate that shelf space somewhere else because they're making money by selling the product. Stores need to sell product. If you're refusing to buy it, they're not going to keep selling it. I don't care who this is. I don't care if it's a grocery store or a liquor store, a convenience store, a bar, a restaurant. It doesn't matter. If nobody's buying the product, they're not going to carry it. It's like if I don't care if you run a pizza shop and nobody's buying your mozzarella sticks, at a certain point, you're going to stop having mozzarella sticks on the menu because you got to have the things that people are going to want to buy. Nobody's buying Bud Light right now. Not only are they not buying it, they're not accepting it when it's being given away. So, I mean, this is just, honestly, I mean, in the pantheon of marketing disasters, is there a worse scenario than what Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light have been able to do with this? Because, again, it's not just about the decision to partner with Dylan Mulvaney, which we've talked about at length. It's how they've handled the situation since then and how poorly they have managed their relationship with their customers. And it feels like they either do not know their core demographic, their core customer very well at all, or they completely take them for granted and just assume that there's no chance that they would go anywhere else. What else could it be, right? Am I missing anything?
No, that's the only thing I can think of. And I saw all those cans that they came out with at my local grocery store, the Harley Davidson can, the camouflage can. There was plenty of them on the shelves. Yeah, there was plenty of them on the shelves. Man, like, does this rack up? Remember, might have been a month ago when we had the top 10 worst marketing. Yep. We had the Colgate lasagna.
That's right. The Arch Deluxe from McDonald's. Yeah, Crystal Pepsi.
I mean, this has to rank right up there. How could it not? This is nothing short of just a complete disaster. And I don't know what the next step is for them. How do you get people back? I don't know. I don't know how you get them back out short of, you can't give it away. So how are you getting these people to come back? Can you? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. So I have something here. Let me read this for you because there's a new statement here. Okay. Let me make sure I get this right. Anheuser-Busch InBev CEO. So a lot of people don't realize that Anheuser-Busch is no longer an American-owned company. They sold out years ago to a Belgian company called InBev. So InBev owns Anheuser-Busch as well as a whole lot of other brands. And so the Anheuser-Busch InBev CEO, Michael or Michel, M-I-C-H-E-L, Michel Ducaris, reportedly addressed. Sorry, I just had a pop-up come up here, so these things happen. Anheuser-Busch InBev CEO Michel Ducaris reportedly addressed the ongoing boycott's impact on delivery drivers, salespeople, and wholesalers on a recent earnings call. Now, you tell me if the CEO of Anheuser-Busch InBev, when he makes the statement, if it doesn't sound like they're the victim in all of this. He says, this situation has impacted our people and especially our frontline workers. The delivery drivers, sales representatives, our wholesalers, Bud owners, and servers, Ducaris said. These people are the fabric of our business. They are our neighbors, family members, and friends. They are in every community in America. We've been doing everything we can to support our teams.
They love word salads, man. That CEO just is a word salad
well, here's what's crazy.
aficionado.
This is a different CEO. So the statement from before was from Brendan Whitworth, and he is the CEO of just Anheuser-Busch, American CEO. This is the InBev. So the new company, AB InBev, Anheuser-Busch InBev. This is the parent company CEO, and it sounds exactly the same thing. It's the fabric of our communities, and these are our frontline workers, and they're everywhere. It's same exact thing, man.
And they're saying this to like the employees, and it's just they're like, you're saying nothing. What? Okay, what are we going to do to fix this?
Well, that's what it says in this article. It's so interesting. It says it would appear that Anheuser-Busch, the corporation, are refusing to accept or acknowledge their responsibility in creating this crisis for the brand. The brand image was not forced upon them. Like, they made decisions in their marketing division that created this circumstance, and then they blamed the consequences on the customers. So they're essentially saying, like, well, hey, we never wanted to be part of this discussion. We never intended for any of this stuff to happen. But they made all of the decisions to create the situation for this to happen.
I mean, yeah, okay. Again, so how are we going to get these customers back? That should be the only thing that should be on any employee's
mind. They never
mind.
mention that. Like, isn't that interesting that like the CEO never says our number one concern is our customers, winning them back, making sure they understand how important they are to us. And, like any of that stuff, they don't mention it. They don't mention the customer. They've never one time mentioned the customer in any statement that they've ever made. It's never come up.
That's wild. You ever see the Babylon Bee? Like, they had gotten suspended from Twitter and everything. Like, they just come up with these fake headlines. They're actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
I saw one today. It was, or it might have been yesterday. It was Dylan Mulvaney now blackmailing corporations by threatening to endorse their products.
I saw that.
Poor Dylan, man. And again, we've talked about it a million times. Dylan didn't do anything wrong. That's not on Dylan.
No.
That's on
not on
Budweiser
Dylan
for all. Not. We just keep rehashing it. I don't understand what they were going after. Well, I don't know how they didn't think this was going to just backfire. I don't know. Hey, they
didn't have a plan. They didn't have a plan, clearly. And then when they found themselves in it, they didn't have a plan to get out of it. And they haven't been able to figure out what to do. Like Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, InBev, all of these different ones. It's just the only thing that these statements have done so far that have been released. And again, now we've had two. We had one from Brendan Whitworth, the CEO of Anheuser-Busch of America. And then now we have this other statement from the CEO of InBev. And both of them just talk about how important their employees are. And essentially to make you feel guilty for boycotting them, for making you feel guilty that, hey, we're about to lay these people off. You're not supporting Bud Light. You're not supporting Anheuser-Busch. So these people that live in your community, that are your neighbors, that are so important that we've done everything to support, those people that we consider family, friends, neighbors, they're the fabric of our business. They're all going to lose their jobs because of you short-sighted people who aren't willing to support us blindly no matter what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Seems like a successful way of getting your customers back, which you need. Yes, you need your employees, but you don't have anything if you don't have your customers. But keep it on.
Just think about it. If your relationship wasn't working out, if your relationship wasn't working out, is this the way you'd go about winning your spouse back? If things were falling apart, you just be like, well, listen, I've always been a good husband. Historically speaking, everyone knows I'm a great husband. So if you feel like I'm not a great husband, maybe it's saying a little bit more about you than it is about me.
Think of my mom. Think of my dad.
Exactly. Yeah, you're going to feel so bad if you break up with me. Think about how embarrassing it's going to be to all your family. Don't do this. It's so weird, man.
Yeah, just so weird. That's all you can say. It's just so weird the way they're going about this. I do not get it one bit.
No. It's well, and here's the thing. We're going to find out if Target gets it better, because Target has at least had the opportunity to sit back and watch how it's worked for Bud Light, and hopefully watch that playbook and say, okay, well, here's what we don't want to do. And right now they seem to be following the same playbook as Bud Light. They haven't done anything different. So who's to say? But then, just in case you thought, oh, well, you know, this is just a tiny minority of people that really care about this Bud Light thing. This is just a small fringe group that's making a lot of noise, and that's it. Garth Brooks has now come out, because Garth Brooks is opening a new bar in Nashville, and it's named the only thing that you could possibly envision a Garth Brooks bar being named, which is Friends in Low Places Bar and Honky Tonk. So, which is also way too long of a name for a bar. Like, hey man, what are you doing tonight? I was thinking about going over to the Friends in Low Places Bar and Honky Tonk for a beer. Like, so weird. But regardless, we'll let that pass for now. But either way, so he's opening this, and now he's already been asked, what are you going to do? Are you going to carry Bud Light? And he said, we're going to carry all beer. Like, we don't care. It's not our decision. We're not, like, he's trying to find a way to walk this line, right? And I don't think there's a good way to do it, but he's essentially just saying.
Yeah, he did it in the worst possible way, though.
Why do you say that?
Have you read his statement?
Oh, I have it right here.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, read it on.
Garth talking.
Go ahead. No, it's already aggravated me, the fact that this is how he's gonna potentially, again, his customers that he doesn't even have yet, how he's already treating the customers he doesn't even have yet. So I'll let you carry on. So, my bad.
Garth Brooks says, I want it to be a place you feel safe in. I want it to be a place where you feel like there are manners and people like one another. And yes, we're going to serve every brand of beer. We just are. It's not our decision to make, Brooks told Billboard magazine. Our thing is, if you're let into this house, love one another. If you're an a-hole, there are plenty of other places on Lower Broadway. Lower Broadway, of course, being the main strip there in Nashville.
Nashville, yeah.
So if you're privileged enough to be allowed in to Garth Brooks's Friends in Low Places Bar and Honky Tonk, then you need to love everyone, which presumably also means think like everyone else there, because if you don't feel the same way that everyone else there feels about everything going on, this ain't the place for you. If you're just an a-hole, according to Garth, there's plenty of other bars. All the other ones seem to welcome those people, I guess, from what Garth is implying there. Yeah. So, there's lots and lots of bars for a-holes in Lower Broadway. I'm making the one bar that's for people that are different, for people that will love each other.
No a-holes allowed.
That's right. Garth runs a tight ship.
He does. He's going to have a sign in the window that says that. I just, why couldn't he just leave it at, we're going to sell it. If people want to buy it, awesome. If they don't, I don't understand why we have to. Why does it have to be so difficult? Who are these people's PR persons? Because they are doing a rotten job. Who now? There's boycott Garth on Twitter trending. Just like, bro, I can't keep up with all these boycotts again. Like, but you can't call people. So you are essentially like, clearly you're saying like, if you don't want to drink Bud Light, you're an a-hole. Because the question wasn't like, hey, what do you think about people? What do you think about mean people? Right. This question was specifically about Bud Light. So your question is specific about that. You dance around it, but then say, hey, if you're an a-hole. So that means okay, if you don't want to drink Bud Light, or you don't like people that drink Bud Light, you're an a-hole. Maybe if you don't like people that drink Bud Light, you are an a-hole, I suppose. But like,
very possible.
I don't know. Yeah, but I don't understand why it just couldn't have. And why does there have to be a controversy around it? Why can't you just say, yeah, probably we're going to sell Bud Light. I mean, we'll see how it does. If people buy it, awesome. We'll keep it stocked. If they don't, yeah, we'll reconsider it, I suppose. But yeah. I mean, right now we're gonna sell it. Yeah, I don't see why.
It would fall under every other type of beer in the exact same evaluation process. Like, we're gonna carry whatever products sell, and whatever don't, we won't. So sure, we'll stock it at first and see what happens.
Why can't it be that easy? Why?
Yeah.
Why can't it be that easy? Why do we have to? Like, now you've made something that didn't even need to be made. Right. So Billboard is asking the question, trying to obviously get that response. Yeah. They're trying to get him to say something, and then he just takes the bait and runs with it. And now people who are essentially what people who are boycotting Bud Light feel like Garth Brooks, who I've supported and bought albums and everything else, is now calling me an a-hole because
because I don't want to drink Bud Light.
Because I don't want to drink Bud Light. It just doesn't make sense. I just, people need to be fired, man. Like, I don't know. This would be a non-starter. Like, there doesn't even need to be a follow-up after that. If he just says, yeah, of course we're going to sell it. We're going to sell it. If it does good, we'll keep it. If it doesn't, we'll reevaluate it. But yeah, as of right now, we're keeping it. We're going to have Bud Light.
Our job is to give the customers what they want.
Yeah.
Simple.
Right. Not like we're forcing them to drink Bud Light, or they're a-holes if they don't drink it.
We're only going to stock Bud Light.
Yeah. Take that stand.
Garth Brooks should open a bar. If you really care, Garth, really, really step into this, Garth. If you care as much as you claim you do, Garth Brooks, you're going to open a bar and you're only going to serve Bud Light, and that's it. And if anyone walks in with a beer off the street and it's not Bud Light, you throw them out of there.
That's it.
Because they're not allowed to be in that house. They're not privileged enough to have that opportunity.
You know what? Make saloon doors as your doors to get in the building.
Throw them right through.
Throw them right through them. That's it. There you go. Take a real stand.
I mean, he's saying it's a honky tonk, right? So this is friends in low places, honky tonk and bar, or bar and honky tonk, whatever. I'm not sure what the difference is between a bar and a honky tonk.
Sure. I mean, do we need any more?
That needs to be done.
Do we need any more country singers opening up bars? Like, don't we have enough?
Already there, already in Nashville. Blake Shelton has his bar, Old Red. Jason Aldean has his bar, Aldean's. John Rich from Big and Rich has Redneck Riviera. I think Luke Bryan is opening a place, or has one already. I know Eric Church is opening a place, and then Garth is doing his thing. And that's just off the top of my head in Nashville specifically.
Does Toby Keith still have his place?
That's right. He did have a chain of places, so I don't know if he still does or not, but yeah. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So we mentioned, right, John Rich. So John Rich from Big and Rich, he has a bar in Nashville called Redneck Riviera. And so, of course, people are asking him because he's a bartender or a bar owner in Nashville. So what's he saying about this? And they ask him, so they get the statement from Garth, and then they run back to John Rich to get John Rich's opinion on what Garth just said. And he says, John Rich says about Garth Brooks has always been the guy that said, everybody come to my show, Rich told Fox News Digital. It's something that we love about Garth. You know, he makes his music for everybody. And that really is what music is about. You're making your music for everybody. Beer's for everybody, too. If Garth is serving Bud Light in his bar, that's fine. Garth can do that. But Garth might find out not many people are going to order it, he explained. At the end of the day, you have to put things in your establishment that people are going to purchase if you're going to run a successful business. He might find that out. I think he probably sees the pain and division that's going on in the country and wants to try to help that. If I know Garth at all, and I know him a little, That's probably the impetus behind a statement like that. So good for him. I wish him the best. But he does go on to say that the customers aren't going to order it. So I'm not going to stock it. We've only got limited area. I've got a limited bar. It's like I've got to put beer and whiskey and vodkas up here that people want to purchase and they want to support. And brother, I can tell you right now, it's a vicious attitude toward Bud Light. Well, we just heard that sales were down 60% over Memorial Day. So John Rich seems to have his finger on the pulse as a guy who isn't hoping to open a bar, but owns a bar currently in Nashville. And he knows because they used to stock Bud Light and they don't now because they only have so much room. And if nobody's buying it, they're not going to stock
the
it.
Point. And Garth will do that too. It's just now where he's going to come out. Garth's always been kind of, like he said, you know, if you remember, I want to say it was the Super Bowl. Garth was singing, I don't know if he was singing the national anthem, if he was singing America the Beautiful. It was one of those things. But his video was supposed to run We Shall Be Free. Yeah. And they were going to refuse. This was NBC at the time because I believe Costas was the announcer, and they were going to they weren't going to run it because of the fact where he's like, "When we're free to love anyone we choose," and they were just going to flat out refuse at that time because at that point was extremely controversial. Well, he just was pretty much like, "Okay, we'll find someone else to sing," and this was minutes before he was to go out. Yeah. And he was like, he was just going to refuse completely, and they relented and ended up playing his video, and he came out and sang, did a fine job. So yeah, he's always been that type of a person. So I don't fault him for that. The name calling, I don't understand, because now like, yes, you're for everyone except for the people who are boycotting Bud Light, so you're really not for everyone, right? I mean,
right. It's everyone who feels the way you feel about a particular topic.
Exactly.
Like, you know, and that's and because here's the thing, and we've talked about this before. And people listening, you know, a lot of people are listening to this, and they're listening to it with a wide range of different opinions and you know, political affiliations and leanings and everything else. But the number one thing is, as long as you aren't doing anything in a hurtful, disrespectful, violent way or anything else, you don't need to feel the same about everything. It's not like we don't just have one sports team that the whole country loves and that's it, because that's like, there's one way to feel. There's one thing to root for. Like, that's not the case. So what is it that's so wrong about somebody saying, I like Bud Light and I want to drink it, and someone else saying, I don't like Bud Light and the difference is nothing. Why, and we talked about this from the beginning, why is there this desire? And that desire seems to turn into a need to politicize everything. Like, why isn't it just as simple as, yeah, I don't really care about Bud Light one way or another, but if customers aren't going to buy it, we're not going to stock it. If they come in and they love it, we're going to stock it. Simple as that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be political. You don't have to say that people are a-holes or any of this other type of stuff. It's like, that's just overcompensating. Like, now you're trying to make sure that you look good in all of this, that you've spoken up and you've stepped out. But the reality is, you're calling people names that don't necessarily deserve to be called names, that don't need to be called names, right? So it's just, it's all very strange to me. You have a bar. Do whatever you want to do with it.
Right, exactly. And if you want it to go under, which maybe that is your plan, I don't know, maybe you need a tax break of some sort.
Need that write-off.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't just keep going and doing what you're doing.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very strange to me. The whole thing is strange. And you know, I mean, again, you want to open a bar, you want the bar to be successful. The best way to have a successful bar is by stocking drinks that people want to have. That's pretty cut and dried. So, yeah, the idea that, like, it goes from, you know, what your plans are and it goes into something deeper, I don't fully understand.
Me neither.
Don't really need to, I guess.
Again,
So.
We didn't have to spend 15 minutes talking about Garth Brooks and John Rich. If he would have just said, yeah, we're going to stock it. We'll see what it does.
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
And who knows? I mean, honestly, right? So we talk a lot of times on the show about like you dig a little deeper on things and you sometimes a little conspiracy-ish. Well, if I'm Garth Brooks and I'm opening up a new bar, well, it's an awful easy way to be able to get people talking about my brand new bar that's going to be opening if I put a statement out like this versus just saying like, I don't care. Sure, we'll stock it. Maybe it'll sell, maybe it won't. You make a strong statement, and then that runs in the news, and then it becomes a big story about Garth Brooks is opening his Friends in Low Places. Also, what took 30 years for Friends in Low Places to become a bar?
And why all of a sudden did you decide, we got to go into the bar business?
You're incredibly late to the party. Like, Garth Brooks isn't even at the peak of his success or popularity. He could have had this bar 20 years ago. He could have bought up the real estate for pennies on the dollar in comparison to what it is now in downtown Nashville.
Sure.
And he could have had the same bar, called it the same thing because that song was a hit forever ago. I mean, it's just...
Where he could have already franchised that thing out and sold it for $1 billion,
Exactly.
Oh, he's striking while the iron is not very hot. Do you realize
Friends in Low Places was written in 1989?
Yeah.
It was released on August 6th, 1990, as the lead single from Garth Brooks' album No Fences. 1990.
Fantastic album. Love the album. Yeah.
23 years old. So...
Oh, no. 33 years old.
No. 33 years old.
33 years old.
So Garth Brooks, who has had his song Friends in Low Places for 33 years, has now decided, this would be like if Jimmy Buffett decided today to open Margaritaville for the first time. Like, you know what? I think I want to make this a bar.
This is a pretty popular song. I think this goes well with the whole theme.
Yeah, people might want to drink at a place called Margaritaville. So Garth Brooks wants to come out with Friends in Low Places. Ay.
Bar and honky tonk.
Yeah.
And honky tonk. Like, come on, man. Like, you're just... oh, gosh.
Well, Garth has to be, he's got to...
Garth is the furthest thing from a honky tonk type of a singer that there is in country music.
Yeah.
There's nothing honky tonk about
Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks.
He's traveling around in a private jet.
Yeah.
Mr. Honky Tonk.
He has a showing in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Nothing honky tonk about you, brother. Sorry, man. Oh.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to seeing if Neil Diamond's ever edgy enough to come out with this Sweet Caroline Bar and Grill. If he wants to take advantage of the heat on that song right now.
Yeah. He missed out on making a barbecue sauce.
That's right. Yeah, seriously.
Mix between Carolina sauce and a sweet Kansas City sauce. Man, look at that.
Perfect. People would love it. Yeah.
Would love it.
Neil Diamond.
Yeah. Nothing like vinegar and sugar.
Neil Diamond's still alive. Give us a call. We'll go into this
together. Neil Diamond is still alive. You're still out
Neil
there.
Diamond. If you're still alive, prove it by coming on the show.
That's it. Otherwise, we know it ain't true.
Open invitation to Neil Diamond or Neil Diamond's kids. Come on to confirm when he passed. Either one.
This goes for you too, DeMar Hamlin.
I think, I'm looking up as we speak, I believe Neil Diamond's still alive. And I believe, well, but let me not say too much what I believe yet. Because, yes, he is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
He's 82 years old. 82
years young.
That's right.
Yeah.
Look at that. Neil Diamond has sold more than 130 million records worldwide.
That's insane.
He's one of the best-selling musicians of all time. Neil Diamond. 10 number one singles. Now, If I had to ask you, and I'm talking gun to your head, to name 10 Neil Diamond songs, gun to your head, could you name
No, I'm dead.
5 Neil Diamond songs? He's had 10 number one hits. Could you name 5 of them?
No chance. I probably heard 5 of them, but I couldn't name the names. No. No.
Well, he's had 38 songs reach the top 10. Here's what's gonna I'm gonna freak you out on something.
All right.
Neil Diamond has had 10 number one songs in the U.S. Of those 10 songs, none of them are Sweet Caroline.
Really?
Sweet Caroline was never a number one song. So he had 10 number one songs that were not Sweet Caroline. Sweet Caroline made top 10. Wow. Never got to number one. So now, gun to your head, it's going to be a whole lot harder because you figured you had Sweet Caroline in the bag.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Like a Russian gangster with a gun to the head. I want to hear 10 number one songs by Neil Diamond. You're going, okay, just give me a second. Hang on. Okay. Number one, Sweet Caroline. Boom, done, dead.
Yeah, you're done. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, so I wasn't finished. I meant wasn't.
I know for sure Sweet Caroline's not on that list. Here, just because I have it up in front of me, these are the 10 number one songs written by Neil Diamond.
I think I know one. Let me see if I know one because
okay.
I think this was Neil Diamond. Has anyone looked into him and his wandering ways? Because I feel like "Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon" was probably a number one hit, and then "Sweet Caroline" was supposed to be about I don't know, was that JFK's daughter or something? I want to say.
Good question.
So "Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon," and then "Sweet Caroline." What's going on, Neil?
Well, "Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon" also not one of those 10 number one songs.
Okay. Well, then I'm dead. So I'll have good life insurance, I guess.
I will name you the 10 Neil Diamond number one songs.
Do you think I'll know them?
One of these I knew when I read it. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I've heard that. I don't know that any of the other ones. I'd have to play them. But I might have heard them, but I don't know them by name. These are the 10 songs. Cracklin' Rosie, Song Sung Blue, Longfellow Serenade, I've Been This Way Before, If You Know What I Mean, Desiree, You Don't Bring Me Flowers, America, Yesterday's Songs, and Heartlight.
So you could have named those off before you said, and you'd be like, name this artist.
Yeah,
and I would not have got it.
No.
I find myself an aficionado of music. I'm a music lover. I do this part-time for a living. So,
yes.
Yeah.
You're a skilled musician. Yes.
No.
The only one that I knew of this was America.
I feel like I remember that.
Coming to America.
See, I probably would have said that was Bruce Springsteen.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm saying I would have known it. I'm just saying when I read the list, that was the one that I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I know that song. I don't know what these other songs are. Cracklin' Rosie, Song Sung Blue, Longfellow Serenade, I've Been This Way Before, If You Know What I Mean. Again, we'd have to play them. If we played them,
I bet if we played them, we would
be able to play.
Yeah. I bet we probably would know. It's probably like one of those, long, some of those, long titles that literally have nothing to do with the actual song. It's like, yeah. So I'm assuming we'll know some of them, but no. Seriously, if you would have said that America song, I probably would have said that was Bruce Springsteen.
It sounds like it would be.
Yeah.
It does. It definitely sounds like it would be a Springsteen song. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. So Neil
How did we
Diamond.
get on this topic?
I know. But you know what? All these Neil Diamond fans out here right now are super happy.
Or
strong,
they're going to try to get the
Neil Diamond contingent.
I'm going to try to get the show banned because we didn't know any Neil Diamond.
That's right. Boycott us. Give them a taste of their own medicine. All right. Well, let's jump on because I don't know how the heck we even got to Neil. Oh, yeah, I remember how, but it doesn't matter. I'm not going to rehash how we got to Neil Diamond. But
look, that would be such a long, convoluted thing to get back to how we got to and then we should just skip
follow the trail of breadcrumbs all the way back to how we got there.
What are you doing here? I thought you left. I just had to figure out how we got here.
All right. So anyway, let's move on. NBA Finals. By the time people hear this show, there's every possibility the NBA Finals will be over. We are recording this show Monday night. The finals are tonight. Game 4, right? Is that right?
5.
5. Game 5 is tonight. So I think the highest likelihood, if I were a gambling man, would be that Denver closes this out. They win in 5. And you had actually, I believe, called Denver in 5 to start. I said Denver in 6. I think they close it out tonight, though. First game back in Denver, I think they close it out.
Yeah, they're just too good, man. They are just we talked about this in the opening before we started the show, but just how well constructed. I don't know who the GM of that team is, but teams should be trying to poach the assistant GM, if nothing else, because this is a well-constructed team. Now, you had to get a little lucky with drafting, and you had to be pretty bad to get, Jamal Murray and such. And you took a chance on Michael Porter Jr. He was projected to be a top pick and then could never play because of back injury. So you took a chance on that. When you had the opportunity to take that chance, you took it, and it's paid off pretty well. And then, trading for Aaron Gordon, which, was kind of ho-hum at first. And then this dude puts up 27 the last game, shooting threes all over the place. It's, man, just such a well-constructed team. Like, it's like the Pistons, but like so much better. Like I don't even know
old
what
Pistons you're talking about, not current.
No,
Pistons.
I was talking about I was talking
Pistons.
about the what are we looking at? 04-05 Pistons when they
Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, when they somehow beat the Lakers. It was
right.
But they're constructed like that, where they're just such a good, cohesive team. There's no, I mean, Jokic is obviously a superstar. Jamal Murray is an all-star. And then you just, you got Bruce Brown, and then you have the other guy that's the last name is Brown, but it's spelled Braun. And, you just, that like those two just come out and like, okay, one's off, well, the other one's going to be on. It's just, man, so well. It's just a thing of beauty if you're an NBA, like purist. Like, it's just, they're not like there's no, they didn't build this around like superstars and trading for all these people. And, and that's kind of what I like about the Heat is they didn't necessarily do that either. They didn't draft Jimmy. The Bulls did. And the Bulls, right. I'm going to be started on the Bulls, but you did, manage to get Jimmy there, but then you've built around that, so we've talked about that. Our buddy FA actually works with NBA TV and still a big Heat fan. And, he feels like they're just maybe a big away. I don't know. I necessarily agree with the big away. I think they're probably more of that superstar, like that great point guard or great, two guard. I think, Kyle Lowry.
Well, Jimmy needs to be enhanced.
Yes.
I mean,
and
that's the other
exactly.
thing.
There's not really anything there to necessarily enhance him. If he doesn't go off and score 35 points, there's a good chance they're not going to win. So, and they are missing Tyler Hero. No, I'm not, he can at least extend the floor and kind of spread them out a little bit with his ability to 3-point shoot, but, yeah, but I don't think even with Tyler Hero that's a team that's going to be the Denver Nuggets. So,
no, agreed.
And I don't know if you knew this. It seems like the NBA, start of the NBA playoffs were like 6 months ago. It's what it feels like, anyways. But
yeah,
Miami lost the play-in game, the first play-in game in that tournament.
Yes, and
then we're down in the fourth quarter of the second playoff game with like 9 minutes to go, and they were literally like 10 minutes away from being eliminated, and here they are in the finals.
Crazy.
Incredible run. It's just, man, when better players, a better team hits you, like, there's nothing you can do about it, man. Like, there's just nothing you can do.
No, you're right. And here's what's crazy. I just said about how Jimmy Butler needs someone to enhance him. And again, I said a couple weeks ago, for me, it's Damian Lillard, right? It makes the most sense to be there in Miami. But here's the thing. If you look, like, Jimmy Butler has not been impressive in these finals. He hasn't played poorly, but definitely has not been who he would have needed to be. If you look at the finals, 13 points in game 1, 21 points in game 2, 28 points in game 3, 25 points in game 4. That's not special play. Like, that's just not.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
Against Denver, Jimmy Butler averages 20.5 points per game, 8.5 assists against Denver.
I have to wonder how much fatigue is set in with that guy, though. I have to wonder how much he's carried them. If he's just if he's just got nothing left to give in it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure, Malone, the coach there, I'm sure he's probably set up a system to to kind of work around him a little bit. That's my guess. Is that they're trying to key on him. So that might be why he's probably having to work a whole lot harder for this. But yeah, it's just such a well-constructed team, man. And good for them, man. They just don't get any love out there. They were the number 1 seed, and everyone just thought the Lakers were going to run through them. And it's like, man, why? Why did you think that? Like, it just.
I think it's just the Denver Nuggets have been bad forever. The Denver Nuggets have been bad for 30 years or however long they've been around. I'm talking from Kiki Vandeweghe days. Like, they've never been a good team. And so people just don't believe it until they see it. Like, you have to prove it. If you're an historically bad team, no one is going to believe you're good until you actually break through. And for this season, that's the Denver Nuggets, right? It's the same thing about, again, I don't care if you're the Cleveland Browns, the Arizona Cardinals, like the bad NFL teams. No one's going to believe that you can do it until you actually do it. It doesn't matter your roster. It doesn't matter your coach. Nothing matters. You have to actually win because people will always assume that you're going to revert back. And most of the time, that is what happens. But right now, for this season, the Denver Nuggets, now, of course, you also have probably the best player on the planet right now in Nikola Jokic. And so that helps a whole lot. But right now, they are the best team in basketball.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's not even, in my opinion, it's not even close. Like, I don't know that there was any team that you could put up against them that they weren't going to beat this year in the finals. So, yeah, I completely agree. I think the Celtics probably would have given them a little bit more trouble. I think just, because of their ability to, with Jaylen Brown and Tatum, and then they do have some bigs that they can roll in there, even if it's just to disrupt and get fouls like they used to do with Shaq. Just bring in
Marcus
3
Smart
centers,
and some of these guys that they can put in there and play.
Right. Like they used to do with Shaq, they just bring in 3 big men and foul them 15 times and let them go to the line and make 3 free throws. So they probably could have thrown more at them. I don't think anyone was going to beat them this year. So now Denver or Miami will come back and win 3 straight and prove us all complete idiots. Which would be apropos for us, but
not into existence.
Yes, sir. So if you're a betting person and you're listening to this live, bet heavy on Miami. I'm sure you're going to get some great odds there. So,
do you remember? There's an old player for the Washington Wizards named Calvin Booth. You would maybe know Calvin Booth because he went to Penn State.
Penn State, man. Yeah, it looked like he was 64 years old playing for Penn State. I sure do remember Calvin Booth.
Well, guess what? Calvin Booth is the GM of the Denver Nuggets.
Not the assistant. He's the GM of.
Calvin Booth started his front office career with the New Orleans Pelicans as a scout during the 2012-2013 season. After 1 year there, he moved to the Minnesota Timberwolves, working his way up to director of player personnel. In August of 2017, Calvin Booth was named assistant general manager of the Denver Nuggets. In July of 2020, Booth was named general manager of the Denver Nuggets. He's been the GM since 2020. And now here it is, the 2023 finals, and the Nuggets are there. Calvin Booth.
Wow, what a rise, man. I mean, he was a serviceable NBA player.
Maybe we just missed that story or something. I don't know. Like, I don't know how
we
read
it.
Know that.
It just, yeah. I mean, I couldn't tell you the GM probably for 90% of the teams. It's not something that I like, that I really know and follow enough.
But when it's a former NBA player, I mean, that's usually...
That is amazing. Wonder if that's going to cause other people to start considering, like, hey, it's kind of like, the backup quarterbacks who make good offensive coordinators, like, are you going to start looking at these like bench role players? Brian Scalabrine, we're going to bring him out of the, the Boston booth and we're going to make him, work him up through player personnel and everything. Seems like he would probably be smart enough to be able to assemble a good team, and that's got to make other players want to be able to consider that too.
We've seen it in the NFL, right? John Lynch is the GM for the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, we are seeing more and more these teams that are putting former players in executive roles, and some of them are having significant success.
You would think they would know. I mean, it kind of makes sense that they would understand good players and what makes a good player. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's more to it than, I used to play, so I should be a good GM. I'm sure that doesn't work in every scenario. But wow. Good for Calvin, man. Yeah, I
thought that was pretty crazy. I was very surprised.
Yeah. Very under the radar guy, man. Like, I don't know if I've ever. I mean, I don't know. I guess again, being Denver is on the West Coast, and us being out here on the East Coast, I'm not sure that I've ever seen a Denver Nuggets interview. But I promise you, I've never seen a Calvin Booth highlight interview as the GM of the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah,
so, he just plays it cool and keeps it under the radar. Good for him, man. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah,
sure. And then. I think, speaking of sports, we might as well go over to another big story here, which is, I mean, this is maybe the biggest story that we could have, which, again, in the sports world, not in my household.
Sure.
But in the sports world, a huge story, which is Lionel Messi has joined Inter Miami. Now, this is crazy for what I'm going to call American soccer. Messi is obviously one of the biggest stars in the world, in sports in the world in general. Messi's one of the biggest stars there is. And for that guy to turn around and come to America and play in Miami is just... everyone was completely floored that this move could have been made. So, look, I'm not a huge, soccer guy. I've never kind of hidden that fact. But, I mean, Messi's been playing a long time. He's a phenomenal player, one of the best ever. And he's been playing quite a lot, or I mean, been playing a long time and made a lot of money throughout his career. And so this move now to come, I mean, years ago, David Beckham went to LA to play, and that was huge for MLS, right? Major League Soccer. Huge, because there had never been a legitimate star, but Beckham was also at the very end of his career. And while Messi's very late in his career, he's not like in the last 6 months of his career. He's not in the last year or two. I mean, he may choose to not play longer, but he could definitely play a lot longer. So anyway, just thought it was pretty fascinating because when David Beckham came over, that was, I believe, 2007, if I remember correctly. And so that's a long time since there was a follow-up star to come over and make a move like this. And Miami got the biggest star there is, basically, in soccer.
Sure did. So I found something that was very interesting, and it makes all the sense in the world why Messi came over. I'm not sure if you saw this, but they were saying that he can actually turn his like he could almost make $1 billion off of this deal. And there's a blueprint for it. And you mentioned David Beckham. So of course Beckham leaves. Where was he at? Like Inter Milan or Real Madrid, I think, or something like that.
I think so.
So he left, took a 70% pay cut to go to the LA Galaxy. They were averaging 15,000 fans per game at the time. And obviously no real TV show, no TV presence to speak of. But listen to this. He turned his $6.5 million salary, which he got with LA, into more than $500 million. So he had so it sounds like there's a whole lot of salary cap. Like you want to talk about the NFL circumventing salary cap rules, and you're like, how do the Browns afford to sign another offensive guard for $1.5 billion, right? So it kind of sounds like what MLS also did. It was pretty much the owner paid for a good chunk of his salary, so he only counted. So they only had a 2.1 million salary cap when he came over. But
Can you imagine?
The league created a new designated player rule that allowed the LA Galaxy to pay Beckham $6.5 million annually while only counting $400,000 against the cap, right? So the other 6.1 was just paid by the club owners. They just paid it. So owners, not they're just paying his salary pretty much out of their pocket because they realized what it could be. So he then gets a percentage of all club revenue. This is how they got him to come over. Gets a percentage of all club revenue. So for every dollar that the team made during his tenure, from merchandise, tickets, sponsorship, to hot dogs and beers sold at the game. In addition to a revenue sharing agreement with LA Galaxy, MLS sweetened the deal by inserting a clause that allowed Beckham to purchase an MLS expansion team at a fixed rate of $25 million upon retirement. Now, at the time, it was not a big deal, right? However, they just made an expansion team in San Diego that the dude paid $500 million for.
So when and he has the right to get it for $25 million.
$25 million. So when you added it up, it's estimated that Beckham made $255 million during his 5 years in MLS. And I don't know that, he did anything amazing during his time in MLS,
right.
But so 5-year salary, $32.5 million, revenue share was $18 million, sponsorship and endorsement deals, $204.5 million, 5 years, $255 million this dude made. And so the team that Beckham ended up paying a $25 million expansion fee to, Inter Miami CF, is now valued at $600 million. The 11th most valuable club in MLS.
Beckham used the $25 million purchase ability to buy Miami, Inter Miami, and now then they turn around and they get Messi. Wow.
Yeah. And so they're talking Messi's deal could be up to $1 billion that he
I believe
could end up
so.
making. So
Because he's
it makes
getting a
all
piece
the
of
sense in the world.
everything.
Everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes total sense. Because, I mean, this is the thing, and I have this stat. I don't think you mentioned this exact thing, but I think it's very valuable if you look at the growth of MLS. In 2008, the value of the average MLS franchise was $37 million. In 2022, the average value of an MLS team is $582 million.
Wow.
So from 2008 to 2022, it's up 1,472%. It's crazy. So when we look at the Messi deal with Miami, it's pretty unbelievable because his roster spot is completely exempt from salary rules, just like what you were saying that Beckham had. Messi's going to receive a revenue share from all new MLS season pass subscribers on Apple TV. Apple pays that directly. So that doesn't even need to come from the team or anything. Apple is paying Messi a revenue share of all new MLS season pass subscribers on Apple TV. Messi receives a profit share with Adidas for any increases in profit that Adidas generates from Messi being in MLS. And Messi's already signed with Adidas. He's been with them since 2006. He signed a lifetime contract with Adidas in 2017. And Messi gets an option for part ownership in Inter Miami upon his retirement. Can you believe that? But then they say that the revenue share deal with Adidas, Barcelona was reportedly selling more than $200 million worth of Messi jerseys per year when he was playing there. 200 million just in jerseys alone. So clearly, I mean, this Messi thing. I mean,
it's going to make sense.
Right?
You're in Miami. You know, it's a a population down there that I'm assuming soccer or baseball is probably their first love, not necessarily football. I think they've grown to love American football, but it's a very international population where I'm going to assume baseball and soccer are probably the two biggest, things that they love the most. So yeah, I think you'll see you're going to see the sales of those jerseys probably just go through the absolute roof. I mean, it makes sense. You wouldn't think, and everyone's like, what? But then you break it down, and you're like, yeah, no, that makes
starts to make
sense.
a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a great business deal for him.
So I got something for you. This is an example, because a lot of people, if you don't pay attention to soccer, or maybe just not even all that much into sports in general, you might not recognize the impact of something like this. So I have this stat for you. Inter Miami posted the same picture on Instagram a week apart. Neither picture had Messi in them. Had nothing to do with Messi. The first one was posted pre-Messi. It got 7,000 likes. The second one happened, they reposted the same picture.
The same picture.
After they signed him, it got 730,000 likes. Same picture.
The same picture.
And he's not in the picture. He's not even in it. Has nothing to do with him. It's that much of a swing from 7,000 likes to 730,000 likes.
I want to know.
Inter Miami has added an average of 1,400 new Instagram followers every single minute since the Messi announcement was made. 1,400 per minute. Per minute. So here's this stat when you start to roll it all together. Inter Miami has gained 4.2 million Instagram followers in the first 24 hours after they announced the Messi deal.
My gosh.
That gives them more followers than any NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, or MLS team. Inter Miami has more Instagram followers than any professional sports team in America. And it happened within 24 hours of the time that they signed Messi. So if this guy were to get $1 billion out of all this, if you think he's not worth it, They're laughing all the way to the bank right now in Miami because this deal made all the sense in the world for them. And they were supposed to be getting a new stadium built down there. From what I have heard, it was supposed to be near the airport, but they haven't broken ground yet. Things might be moving a little slow. Magically, something tells me that new stadium gets fast-tracked and things start moving right along when you get Messi involved.
That is crazy. Man, it's just so crazy to see just how one guy, like I said, he's 35. So, yeah, I mean, he's not done, but he's not the Messi of 10 years ago, of course. So, yeah. But it just makes perfect sense. Bring him in. I would love to see what the ticket sales have done. I mean, they've got to be pushing close to like season ticket holders selling out at this point, I would think.
I have to believe they probably sold out, in no time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's crazy. The frenzy around sports, the money around sports, all of these things right now, it's just it's not slowing down. It doesn't and the thing is, it doesn't matter what's happening with the economy. It doesn't matter about inflation. It doesn't none of these things have any impact. It's just it just goes.
It's just like that's recession proof. We talked about it like these sports people buying teams, like, okay, at some point someone's got to be stuck with a loss, don't they? But I don't know. It's just maybe one of those things that just never sees a decline.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine. But I mean, overall, to give you a little just snapshot on this Messi stuff. So far overall, Inter Miami has gotten 6 million new Instagram followers. They've had a 4,500% increase in merchandise sales. They've now become the third best-selling team on Fanatics for any gear. They've had a 1,200% jump in ticket prices, and they're probably going to bring in 2 to 3 times more revenue this year alone. Now, sure hope some of you folks bought your Inter Miami season tickets before this announcement because they just went up by 1,200%.
Man, someone had to have that inside information and probably bought up, 10 season tickets on that.
Can you imagine?
Cow. No.
Yeah, you probably bought up season tickets for like $1,500. The average ticket, I think I read, was like $37 had been like the average ticket price to go to an Inter Miami game. They weren't expensive. Now they're like $380 or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's nuts. And people will pay it. So
to see one guy, I don't. I don't know. I would have not even remotely enough knowledge of soccer to be able to say, would one guy really is one guy going to help your team, or how much is he going to be out there that touching the ball? I don't know.
I just think it's like being able to watch one of the best players in history is really what it is. I doubt it's about how good the team is. It's like if you had the opportunity to go watch Babe Ruth, well, nowadays it's Shohei Ohtani, people buy tickets to see Ohtani play. It doesn't matter what the Angels are doing because he's wasting away playing for the Angels, just like Mike Trout has. I mean, I'll never understand this. I mean, that's a whole other topic we don't need to get into. We're too sports heavy tonight already.
Yeah.
But some of these players that waste their careers on teams, we talked about it the other week with DeAndre Hopkins. We went from the Houston Texans to the Arizona Cardinals. It makes no sense. These players that waste their careers, and we see so many of them, and so this is just another example of that.
Yeah, that's it. And Trout took the money, so it's not like they franchise tagged him. He took it. No, not even remotely. But I mean, there they are. Two best players in the world, and you can barely stay above 500. So, man.
Yeah. Well, all right. So let's get off sports a little bit. And let's move in to quick hits. I saw this. This reminded me of an episode of The Office. A 60-year-old American input the wrong GPS coordinates in his car while he was driving and ended up at the Canadian border. So now he's in line for the Canadian border. He can't turn around or anything. He gets to the border. They do the normal police inspection, and they uncovered 400 pounds of marijuana and more than $600,000 cash in his car.
No, Michael, it means bear right. Bear right. No, it must be a shortcut. Right. This thing says turn right. Must be a shortcut.
Seriously, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police said in a news release that Andrew Lee Toppenberg was following GPS coordinates that were entered incorrectly when he mistakenly ended up in the border lineup at Canada's Rainbow Bridge border crossing in Niagara Falls, Ontario. The guy's from California. So he's from Tustin, California. He's subject to an inspection because he didn't have his passport with him, which of course he didn't have his passport with him.
Sure.
He hadn't planned on going to the border. Hadn't planned on going to Canada. Yeah. So they found 400 pounds of cannabis, and which the value on that is 270 to 540,000. That's a big range. That must be a huge swing in the quality of cannabis out there.
Yeah.
And then more than $600,000 cash in the vehicle.
Dang, this dude was just a straight so he's not a cannabis dispensary owner, I suppose.
Apparently not. Because it says the drugs and the money were located throughout the car with the cannabis in vacuum-packed containers and the cash separated into bundles that were concealed in a safe, suitcase, and lockable case, according to police. The police said the packaging looked like the sort of containers drug dealers or money launderers used, which led to them issuing charges against him on suspicion of possession and import of cannabis and the possession of more than $5,000, knowing that all or part of the proceeds were obtained by a crime. Definitely more than 500 or more than 5,000 because they had $600,000.
Yeah.
All because of wrong GPS coordinates.
So he made it from California. I mean, if you're driving,
I don't know where he left from. That's where he's
going.
Yeah, he's from California. He may not have been driving all the way from California.
Makes it all the way. Just took one wrong turn.
15 minutes out. Only 15 minutes away. I've driven all the way across country. Oh, wait. Did I make is that the right turn? Oh, wait a minute.
Canada? How did I end up in Canada? Where was he going?
Be in Vermont.
Yeah,
I was just trying to get some maple syrup from Vermont. Why can't I? Yeah. Crazy. Can you imagine that?
Oh, man.
So this dude is just like, he's thinking he's going to do what is probably, I mean, there's a decent chance this is the biggest deal of his life, right? This is a massive payout. You got 400 pounds of weed, $600,000. You're doing some real business. And then you accidentally drive to the border and you get busted.
Wow. My gosh. At what point did he realize, crap, I am so screwed? So I guess once you get on that bridge, it's a one-way each way. You can't turn around, huh?
Yeah, there's no turning around. There's no like, sorry, I'm not supposed to be here. Can I go back this way?
It's cool. Just need to do U-turns.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, just hang a Yui here. Is that okay?
Oh, no. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So anyway, there's that. So if you think you're having a bad day or a rough week or anything, don't worry. Someone out there always has it just a little bit worse.
Andrew Toppenberg is having a bad week. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on now. Quick hits. Speaking of travel, a Southwest Airlines employee has been accused of selling nearly $1.9 million in fake travel vouchers. The employee allegedly sold fake Southwest Love vouchers and could face years in prison. They were working for Southwest at Midway Airport in Chicago, and he allegedly devised a scheme to use fake customer names to fraudulently generate vouchers without the airline's knowledge or approval. He would then sell the fake Southwest vouchers below market value, because it's all profit anyway, to a 46-year-old Chicago resident among a number of other people. Most of the vouchers were worth $200 and $500. Southwest vouchers are usually given out by the airline to compensate customers for bad experiences. So the customer service agent now reportedly faces 12 counts of wire fraud. Each count of wire fraud is apparently punishable by up to 20 years in federal prison. So that could lead up to 240 years behind bars. Of course, obviously, you would anticipate it being a lot less than that. But still, $1.9 million in fake travel vouchers.
I'm not sure how much you looked into this, but I have a lot of questions. How did they get that far? Like, how in the world? Like, there has to be a piece of paper, I'm assuming, or something digital. There has to be some way of tracing this stuff. Does there not? So he's just writing these vouchers out saying, oh, you had a poor experience. There's not a book. There's not like, hey, where'd all these travel vouchers go? Because you said they're between $200 and $500. That's a whole lot of vouchers going on there.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, so I don't know all the details, but from what I understand, he was able to go into the system and just put in a fake name. He puts in a fake name and he prints up the voucher. Like, the voucher's no big deal because they're given away, right? It's like, oh, sorry, you had a rough flight. There was a lot of turbulence here. We want to give you a travel voucher. And it's used only on future flights. It's not like it's worth money until they actually go to, like, book a flight with it. And so he's just making up fake. Now, here's the thing I don't know. I haven't done enough research, or at least haven't seen how to do this. He makes it up under a fake name, but isn't the fake name on the travel voucher? And then, like, if I make up a fake name and I give it to you, and then how are you claiming to be that person? But maybe it doesn't matter, because it might just be, if you're booking it online, if you have that voucher number off of it, maybe you can just type that in and it comes off your total price.
So people are putting this into Travel Southwest. Like, so someone's buying these up, theoretically. There's one guy that's buying these and then turning around and selling them. So there's like a middleman almost.
Yeah, apparently there were more than one person, but yeah, he was selling them to a 46-year-old Chicago resident, and he had other people as well. But yeah.
And so what was the 46-year-old resident doing with them? He or she theoretically then was reselling them? Like, is he really loves flying at Southwest?
Love Southwest.
Man, I just can't get enough of Southwest. The seats are so crampy. Oh, it's the best. Yeah. I love being in a sardine box. Let me spend $1.8 million.
Crazy, man. People will always find a way to scam.
Yeah, but they will always find a way. Just not smart enough to not be greedy. Like, dude, you could have done that for $100,000 and then probably not have gotten, clearly, because it got all the way up to 1.9 or $8 million. Yeah. Bro, you just stopped at $100,000 and just been like, all right, yeah, I shouldn't press my luck anymore. And then just do like $100,000 per year, like over the course of 19 years. Like, I don't know how long he did this, because that hasn't all come out yet. But I mean, he wasn't doing it for 20 years, I doubt. So, he's just going for broke, man. Probably thought he'd never get caught. I guess not. I mean, you get all the way up to that much, you think you're invincible at that point, man.
Right.
Like, shoot, man, you get up to $500,000, you'd be like, man, these people are never going to catch me. I'm going to keep going,
Yeah.
He had a number in mind too. He was like, all right, man, I get to $3 million. You already got the house picked out in Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic somewhere. It's like,
hopefully somewhere the Southwest flies to. So it would be like, it's like, I don't want to have to fly Delta. I want to fly Southwest.
Yeah. That's exactly. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I guess Atlanta then is where he was planning on going to.
Yeah.
If I could only get to Atlanta.
That's why I just gotta get there.
Jeez.
Yeah, man. Crazy story. And speaking of crazy stories, well, you have kids. Let's see what you think about this one. The kids. A teenage girl found her mother's debit card and spent $64,000 on mobile games, wiping out her family's life savings. Yeah, it's in China. Teenage girl in China. Spent her family's entire life savings on mobile game transactions. She spent over $64,000 from January to May through her mother's debit card. This is about 4 months, maybe. She told the outlet that she deleted the chat and transaction records to hide them from her mother. She's 13 years old. Can you even imagine?
Again, how did you? Well, you haven't looked at your bank account at all from, for 4 months. You just decide like one day, let me open this. Wait a second, where is all that money? I don't believe that. Can that be true? How do you not go or not notice? Like, where'd that extra $2,000?
I know.
Where's that $2,000 at? Because you
what
wiped out the life savings at that point.
Yeah.
So if $64,000 is your life savings, I'm sure you're probably trying to keep a hold of it.
Yeah, you have it attached to a debit card, so
yeah,
it's very strange. So apparently, from what I understand, Gong Yiwang learned about the spending spree. That's the mother, I believe. Yes, learned about the spending spree in late May after receiving a call from a teacher at her daughter's boarding school who worried the child was addicted to pay-to-play games. When Gong checked her bank account, she realized it was left with a bank balance of 7 cents. She later discovered that from January to May, her daughter had spent around $16,800 buying game accounts and almost $30,000 on in-game purchases. The girl also transferred money to at least 10 classmates who wanted to buy game products for themselves, bringing the total cost of the child's months-long binge to around $64,000.
Oh, my gosh.
Quote from the mother, "I never thought a 13-year-old girl could do this. I'm in a daze. My head feels like it's going to explode." So here's this. This might answer your question a little bit. Weeping as she spoke, the daughter said that she had linked her mother's debit card to her mobile phone, to the daughter's mobile phone, but didn't know where the money came from or how much she was spending. She said she remembered her mother telling her the account's password from a previous occasion when she asked to buy something else. And so she just went ahead and started doing it. The mother said that she's reached out to several payment platforms to request refunds, but had yet to recoup her losses on the full sum. I'll be curious how much she has recouped.
Yeah, would anyone have been like, all right. I mean, that really, yeah, but I guess if you have the password and you're putting it in each time, but.
Because anyone could just claim, oh, my kid got a hold of it and they must have done this. I didn't know.
So that's happened to me at a much lower scale where one of my children's decided to buy, I want to say it was $100 worth of V-Bucks. For anyone not familiar with V-Bucks, it's Fortnite. I like to tell them that all they're doing is dressing up their virtual doll. But, so you buy these skins, right? So you can change into, and they've got all sorts of stuff, NFL teams. And, we can go into that at some point too, just how the brilliant marketing that the makers of Fortnite did. But I saw a charge for $100 and just reached out. And I think it was Apple when I reached out and was like, hey, this shouldn't have, I didn't approve this. And they refunded it right away. I mean, so it wasn't like, it wasn't like anything major, but that was something I caught right away. And that was $100. I just don't know how you let $64,000 and you've never noticed at any point in time. I just, no wonder your child thought it was cool. Yeah, no wonder your child thought it was cool to do that. Like, you never check your bank account ever? I mean, I understand, like, you don't have to look at it every single day, but once a week, once a month. I don't know.
Occasionally, you might want to keep an eye on it.
And then, like, what kind of banking do you have that they're like, they don't check in on you and say, hey, you sure you wanted to spend all that money? We're just making sure here someone didn't get your stuff because
you're out of money. You know that.
Yeah.
You've used it all.
Is everything okay? You know? Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, I had my card frozen one time when we were in Vegas. And I wasn't spending $64,000 at that time. So you think this happened in China. Maybe they do things a little different there. I don't know.
I guess so. I guess they just they just assume that's what you spend your money on over there is in-app game purchases. So
that's right.
Maybe that's a thing.
If you're not doing in-app game purchases in China or Hello Kitty purchases, they figure there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, they just
or one of those little eggs you have to keep alive, like a Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi, yeah.
Like that's where 86%. I read this where 86% of income goes in China. I read that. It's Hello Kitty.
Tamagotchi
it's
food.
In-game purchases or Tamagotchi eggs. That's where 86% of Chinese income goes.
I mean, you got to feed your Tamagotchi. I'm sorry. You can't let it die.
No. I mean,
it's your responsibility. You decided to buy it. You got to feed the thing, you know? You don't want to, but you have to. No. It's your responsibility.
That's what it is. I don't care if you're young or old. Responsibility is responsibility. If you're young, you need to learn responsibility. If you're old, you need to maintain and handle your responsibility.
That's it.
Come on, man.
That's
Grow
it.
up.
There's too many Tamagotchis in the pound these days. So it's
you can't pawn it off on someone else.
No, that's
someone else's responsibility.
No. Man, I guess Chinese banks agree.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we have said repeatedly on this show that we seem to have so much in common with Chinese bank opinion. And this is just another scenario where our show and the prevailing attitudes of the Chinese banking and financial systems seem to line up perfectly. And I don't know why exactly. I don't know what that says. A little conspiracy there. But for some reason.
Yeah. Completely agree. It's
something's going on.
Yeah. Or maybe they're just level-headed like we are, you know?
That's right. That's all it is. All right. Moving on. Quick hits. I'm going to tell you ahead of time, we're not going to get through all of our stories tonight. So I'm just going to cherry pick a couple things here because there's too many. This is often the case for this show, that we have too much content and things have to carry over. Sometimes we get to them the following week. Sometimes we don't even get to it the following week and it falls through the cracks and it's out into the ether. But we try to get through as much as we can every week. And we're just not going to we try to get everything done within 2 hours. And believe it or not, that's actually difficult. It seems like that shouldn't be a challenge, but somehow it ends up being difficult for us. But I saw this story. I don't know what to make of this story. I'm just going to repeat the story to you as I saw it because I can't fully wrap my head around it. No one has seen Louis Wolfenson for at least 20 years. Not even his mother, Rita, who for the past 2 decades believed her son moved out of their Brooklyn home. But on September 15th, the New York Post reported that her son had possibly never left at all, becoming one of the many things she collected over the years. Earlier this month, a relative visited the home to fetch personal belongings of Miss Wolfenson while she was in the hospital, and found the place in absolute disarray, smelling of decaying food and littered with trash. What this unwitting relative, which is the lady's sister-in-law, did not expect to find was the skeleton of her nephew Louis, intact, wearing jeans, socks, and a shirt, lying on a mattress in the second-floor bedroom. While police are reluctant to confirm the body is definitely his, they have stated that the man died of natural causes.
The skeleton, how do you determine that?
Yeah, exactly. So
And she thought he just left.
Well, it does go a little bit deeper. So yes, she thought he left, but apparently she's legally blind. She did not supposedly know that he was there. She thought he left. She was a hoarder. The house is like stacked floor to ceiling. Again, rotting garbage, everything else that must have covered the scent of a body, I guess. I don't understand. But yeah. So the police believe that it's possible that Miss Wolfenson was entirely unaware of the dead body in her home. So as the investigation continued, police revealed that Miss Wolfenson is legally blind and a known hoarder. So given the chaos found throughout the home, the place was littered with garbage, cobwebs, but they do say it lacked any distinguishable odor of decaying flesh. Did not smell like a dead body in there. Now, of course, it's been dead for 20 years, so maybe at some point it did smell like that.
Yeah.
But the police now believe that it's possible that she had no knowledge that her son died in the home.
I don't believe
the elderly woman was out of touch with her brother until recently, not long before his wife discovered the body, believed to be their nephew.
Oh, my gosh.
Is that insane or what?
I mean, how long?
Presumably, dude had a heart attack or an aneurysm or something.
I mean, how long would you have to have been dead to just be a skeleton in jeans at that point?
I mean, he's been dead 20 years.
Flesh off the bone. Oh, my gosh. That is awful.
Can you imagine?
And I mean, okay,
Yes.
legally blind. Like, what does that mean? Like, if I don't wear my contacts, I can't see 2 feet in front of me. I'm pretty sure I'm legally blind. Right. Like, I'm pretty sure that I would meet the definition of legally blind. I could take my contacts out right now, and I could not distinguish your face.
So you took out the contacts right now, anyone in your house could die.
and apparently I'd be cool. Like, I don't know.
Just assume they moved out. Must have moved out.
I guess they all just moved out. I don't know. Yeah. I just presumed. Like, she doesn't have glasses. She doesn't have any, like, you just get reading glasses and I could put them on and I could make out shapes. I could see a body.
That's the part that's strange, is that, like, I understand if you're blind. I even understand if you're completely blind. What I don't understand is that you never asked any questions. Like, you didn't think this was weird. Like, your son lived with you, and then you're just like, well, I don't know. I guess he moved out. One day I just never heard from him again. I mean,
was there a fight?
Did you call anyone else in the family?
Like, hey, guys, she can, because she's legally blind. How could she see her phone? She's legally blind.
She's just stuck there.
I mean, how did she get out? Like, how did she get her food? How did she get anything? Like, you have to have.
Maybe she's the real victim in all of this.
I mean, like, he's been gone for 20 years. You've had to have a phone. You've had to have, presumably an internet connection or at least data if you have a cell phone. You never once tried to reach out to him. He didn't have a phone number. And then to say, like, it was natural causes. I mean, I don't know. I guess there's a lot of tests you can do with bones. But, I mean, if a dude is, like, if he's literally just bones, you'd be like, nah, that's cool. Yeah, everything looks fine.
Looks like a heart attack.
Like, how do you know he doesn't have a heart? It's gone.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what's crazy. As nuts as this story is, and it is a crazy story, but the story I just told you is not the first case of an elderly person living with a corpse. In 2014, Timothy Brown was found to be living with the corpse of his father, Kenneth, who died in a fall after a fire in the home. This was in England. Authorities found Kenneth propped in a chair, dressed in pajamas, 4 months after his death. That's a way creepier one. That's way more like a psycho type, situation.
Yeah.
Oh. And then that same year in Buenos Aires, Claudio Aferi, 58, was found dead in his home. And next to him was the body of his mother, Margarita, who had died 10 years earlier. The body was not concealed, and appeared to be an active part of Claudio's routine. So here's my point. People be living with dead people. Like, that's just a thing that happens in certain
Just get
places.
over it, all right? Just get over it.
Quit being weird about it.
Yeah, don't be weird about it.
You're
It's
the
normal.
one. You're the one making this weird.
Yeah,
Not
you have
me,
the
the
problem.
person who lives with the dead body in the house.
You're the one with the problem, not me.
Your intolerance. That's the real issue.
Oh my gosh. So this lady just reconciled, I guess, with her brother, and now it's not even her brother that discovers it. It's his wife.
Yes.
What does that do to her? How do you recover from that? So if she could make her way, so she's a hoarder, fine. But if she can make her way into a bedroom to discover a skeleton with jeans on, how did this woman never make her way into that room? Like,
I know.
It doesn't make sense, man. I don't.
I mean, I have parts of my house that I rarely go into. I rarely go into. But
Sure.
I don't think that I have parts in my house that if there was a dead body in there, that I wouldn't find my way into to going into and checking it out.
Stumble your way into it. I don't know. How bad did the house have to smell? Unless she now is legally unable to smell. It's like she's legally blind. She's nose can't blind. Smell. She's nose blind. How bad did your house have to smell that you didn't smell your son rotting and decaying? That'd have to take years. Yeah, I don't know. I just can never. And no one ever came over. It's
where's your
story?
Hey, Luis, where's your Lois? Where's your son? He moved out.
Mm-hmm.
He moved out. Or Rita. The son is Louis. Yeah. Oh, where's your son? How's Louis doing? I don't know. He moved out. Well, when was that? I don't know exactly. How's he doing? Where does he live now? No idea.
No.
Like, they're just not a curious family. It's not.
No, they just keep to themselves. They just
like Louis is very private.
Yeah.
Louis is very private. He doesn't like me getting into his business.
Yeah, I didn't ask. I figured if he wanted to come around, he'd come around.
Yeah, if he wants me to know what he's up to, he'll tell me.
Oh, I hope he died without suffering. I
know.
Oh my
it's
gosh,
horrible. Makes you realize that life is very fleeting. None of us have any idea what's going to happen, right? You think you're going to die you're going to live some great life and you're going to die some noble death or something like that. But the reality is that for a lot of people, they die in the weirdest way you could ever die. And then you end up with, people like us talking about it on a show. Because keep in mind, he died very young. She had two sons. Michael died in 2003 at the age of 38. And Louis would now be 49. So he died in his 30s, I believe.
Wow. And so did this guy not have a job?
He was a cab driver.
Okay.
He was a former taxi driver. So
whatever.
How independent that job is. You think somebody's going to check up on you sometimes.
Yeah, it's something. Hey, he didn't have friends. Nobody else in the family wanted to keep up with him. That's a very private family. Like you said, we don't meddle. We don't meddle. It's your family.
Yeah. Far be it from me. If he saw fit to move out, then he's gotta move out. I raised him. He's a man now, and he's out there on his own. The baby bird has left the nest.
No, baby bird.
Little did you know the baby bird died in the nest.
He was in the nest.
No idea.
He never had a chance to fly. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, that is an awful story.
Yep. Yeah, that's why we talk about it on this show. It's a horrible, depressing, terrible story to have to listen to. So here's what I'm going to do. I've got a couple. Okay, I'll go with this one. I've got several stories here. Again, we're not going to get through all of them. This is again something to cleanse the palate a little bit because weirdly enough, I got a bunch of interesting death stories and different things tonight. But this one's not that. Family in L.A. working on cleaning out a house. I believe the house belonged to the grandfather or father-in-law. So they're cleaning out this house, and they find more than 1 million pennies in a crawl space under the house. Over 1 million pennies. They're in bank bags, tied up. Now, some of them are in cases, boxes, but a lot of them are in bank bags, like a massive pile of bags filled with pennies.
Okay.
Turns out to be over 1 million pennies that they find in the crawl space under the house. And it becomes a problem because what you find out is nobody wants 1 million pennies. They couldn't get rid of them. They could not figure out what to do to get rid of them. So here's the lowdown. In fact, actually, let me do this because while we're talking, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and you can see this is when they've pulled them all out.
Oh,
bags
gosh.
And boxes.
Oh,
is that crazy?
That's pennies. Could have been
all
anything else.
It had to be
pennies. Where? Oh, so many questions. How did this accumulate
Bank
this
of America
many pennies?
Yeah.
I mean, are
this
they worth anything?
Pacific National Bank. This is Bank of America. Yeah, lots of pennies.
So are they worth anything?
So here's the long and short of it is this. So yes, I mean, in general, 1 million pennies is like $10,000. So they're worth a little something just from that.
Sure.
But when you go beyond that point, so nowadays, a lot of people don't even know this. Pennies, everybody thinks of pennies as being copper. Today's pennies, they're not copper. They're zinc. But these old pennies, like what these folks found, those are all copper. Copper has value, right? You should be able to melt them down, except it's currency. So nobody wants to just take a currency and melt it down.
Yeah, is that even...
They can't go to Coinstar. What's that?
Is it? Can you even do that with money? Like, I don't know. Wasn't there something before where you couldn't, like, do that to money? But I don't know. Maybe that's not a thing. Maybe
right, that's what I'm saying. You can't... Nobody's going to melt down currency.
Right.
So they're just in this impossible position. They were talking to banks. Nobody wants to take it. Nobody has anything to do. So then if they take it to Coinstar's going to charge them 8%. And then the bigger problem is, how do you haul 1 million pennies to take them anywhere? Yeah. So they started calling banks in LA, and every bank said, no, like, do not bring them here. Like Wells Fargo said that they don't even have room in their vault. They said, do not bring them here. Like we do not have room for 1 million pennies.
Oh,
and so they said they had to take them out of the house, bag by bag, out of the basement, up to the stairs, into the trucks. Took hours. It took a whole day just to get them out of the crawl space.
Oh my gosh.
Then they used 2 pickup trucks. One of them is a Dodge heavy-duty truck. They loaded the pennies onto the axles of the truck bed and watched as thousands of pounds of copper pennies dropped the suspension of the trucks. They had to drive the sinking trucks in the slow lane all the way to Ontario, California, where the coins sat as they tried to figure out what to do next. Because this is so great. So they keep trying to go to banks and no one will take them. So they're literally like, we do not know what to do with 1 million pennies. We can't even throw them away. What do you do with 1 million pennies? That's actually a good question for people out there. Like, I'll put this maybe as a poll. What do you do with 1,000,000 pennies?
Yeah.
And so somebody told them, like, you're better off just going through them and trying to find rare pennies that could be worth a lot of money.
I mean, it's presumably there had to be some out of 1,000,000 pennies. There has to be some that are worth $20 a piece or something, you know, because otherwise,
because these are real copper pennies. These are the real deal, full copper pennies.
Yeah. So some of them have to be worth something. I don't know.
Got it.
There's the TikTok people that go that's what they do. They'll buy like rolls of coins and go through them on TikTok. Maybe you could reach out to them and see if they want to buy them, because you could probably. I don't know. So they're what, $10,000 with the hopes of that they're. I mean, do you just take it at a loss? Like, look, give me $9,000 in cash, and I will give you $10,000 worth of pennies. Yeah.
Well, here's what he did. So they actually, at one point, they listed the coins on OfferUp, a popular resale app, asking for $25,000. If their estimate of 1,000,000 pennies is accurate, that's more than double the $10,000 value in normal currency. And they haven't been getting any offers to take everything from them.
Sure,
one person offered the copper value, but that proved to be impractical and resource heavy. So yeah, they don't know what to do with it. And what's funny is all of this came from what you would think was a really good idea. The grandfather and the brother, his brother, were German immigrants. And so they really understood the importance of metals and materials. When the nation switched from copper to zinc to press its pennies, Fritz saw an opportunity to build generational wealth for his family. He was a well-known butcher who worked in Hollywood for years. He would take his paychecks to the bank, and he would purchase copper pennies, knowing that their value would only go up in time. And now the family is stuck with 1,000,000 pennies. They don't know what to do with them. The value of copper has gone up. The value of a copper penny is also up, but the value of 1,000,000 copper pennies is almost always down. Nobody wants that.
I mean, yeah, they would be better off just going through and trying to just piecemeal them. I mean, you got a business there, so you can sell a roll of copper pennies. I don't know. I haven't rolled. Is that 50 cents?
I don't even know.
I haven't rolled. No, maybe it's $1. Maybe it's $1. Maybe you. I don't even know. I don't know what a roll of pennies is these days. Is it $1?
Yeah.
Is it $5? No, it can't be $5. It'd be a lot of pennies. Maybe it's 100 pennies. So maybe it's $1. So you could roll those up and maybe sell them. All right, a roll of copper pennies for $5.
A roll of pennies is 50 cents.
It is 50 cents. All right, so I was correct. So okay, yeah. So you could roll them up. I'm just trying to help them out here. So
public
service. This is your part-time job. So you roll up just randomly, just get 50 pennies, put them in one of those little roller things. You could probably buy a machine that would do it for you. And then you go and try and sell them for $5 because they're copper pennies. You know, hey, might have a chance here at something else. Even if you have to, but then again, I don't know if you're shipping them. How much does it cost to ship?
Imagine the weight. Yeah, just the weight alone.
I mean, I guess you're using that UPS. You know, if it fits, it ships. Packaging. But then people are going to know the pennies, so then are they going to try to rip it off? Like, dang, I don't know if that would work.
It's tough.
It might. I don't.
It's a tough
you gotta
situation.
You got to find someone unethical that's willing to melt 1,000,000 pennies for you. That's about the only thing I think you could do. You know,
you got to melt them down, put them in big copper bricks or something like that, and then try to get them recycled. I mean, I don't think there's any better way to do it.
No. I mean, unless you really just want to spend the next 10 years sorting through pennies, trying to find some that I don't know. What's the most expensive copper penny in the world? I wonder what the most like rare, because I'm sure the guy has it, so maybe it's worth it.
Right.
The most expensive penny is worth $100,000 or something.
Well, a 1944 steel wheat penny is $408,000.
Okay.
A
So these aren't wheat, though,
1943
right?
copper wheat penny is $250,000.
I mean, yeah. Sounds like it might be worth.
Yeah, I mean, there
I
are
would
some worth.
So
There's
I
some
would assume
value.
this guy has at least one. If he's been
Right.
collecting them, surely out of a million, there's one. So if
Yeah.
you find one penny in there that might be worth $250,000, it might be worth your time and effort.
Yeah.
And then,
Boy, if you don't, you're going to be awfully
oh
pissed.
my God, could you
You're going to be
imagine?
angry. Like, okay, we're $998,000 through these pennies. Starting to really stress out a little bit here. Sure hope something happens.
Oh, this is how rampages starts. We just-
That's right.
Dang.
Ugh.
What a
Yeah.
problem. You have minimally $10,000 and you can't find anyone at once.
Do anything.
You can't
It's
give
like
it
the whole
away.
thing about like the old, like whatever it was, like the story about the guy who's in the water and incredibly thirsty, and every time he bends down to drink, the water lowers. He can't ever get any of the water. Like that's like this. It's like, we're rich. We're rich. Grandpa set us up. And it's like, oh wait, no, we can't do anything with this. It's just a horrible, horrible problem.
What a problem. Now you just have maybe
Grandpa.
I don't know if you
forgive
don't. Yeah. Find a crawl space and put them under yours, and then let your kids figure it out what to do. Pass that
Be
curse
worth even
down.
We'll all be using Bitcoin by then, and no one will have seen a copper penny in forever.
just pass that. Just make that a generational curse. The curse of a million pennies.
That's better than alcoholism. So just
There you go. There you go. Although it probably leads to that. That's funny.
Yeah. All right, so we are running out of time. I got one story left that we're going to have time to get to. I've got probably 5 more that we're not going to have time to get to. So I'm going to give you the last story of the night in quick hits. Question for you, my friend. If you had the ability to create a video that would go viral, it would be a big deal, and particularly if you were a young kid, you'd probably take that opportunity, right?
I mean, yeah. I often say it's probably a good thing that these things weren't around when we were just first knowing each other 20 plus years ago.
Very
yes,
true.
absolutely. So absolutely,
Okay.
I would 100% take that.
Well, a sushi chain is suing a high school student for $480,000 after social media footage showed him licking his finger and then touching a plate of sushi as it passed him on the conveyor belt. Akindo Sushiro Company, which runs the Sushiro restaurant chain, claims to have suffered a sharp fall in customers because the footage of his actions went viral. The footage also showed him licking a soy sauce bottle and a cup that he then placed back into a communal pile. Video goes viral. Restaurant sees people stop going there. They've taken a massive loss, and they're suing the kid for $480,000. Technically 67 million yen, but that equals $480,000.
Oh my gosh.
So, yes, Akindo Sushiro Company filed the lawsuit at the Osaka District Court, claims to have lost about $115 million following the release of the video due to a sharp drop in customers and a slump in the stock of its parent company. All because a kid decided to try to go and make a viral video.
Oh man, there's no thought process to any of this stuff anymore. It's like those people that like lick the ice cream and put it back, and
Right. Yes.
it's like just such scumbag moves. And this guy thought he was probably just being funny.
Yeah.
But who's laughing? Like I don't know who laughs at something like that.
I
Like,
know.
even as a teenager, I think I'd have been like, bro, that's disgusting, man. Like, first off,
No.
how do you know someone else didn't do that already?
Right,
and
right.
just not post it. And then like, dude, you're just disgusting. Like, I don't. Wow. I want to see how that turns out or how that plays out, boy.
It's an interesting one because, I mean, you got to figure this kid's in high school. And now he has a lawsuit against him for almost $500,000 because he licked a sushi or a soy sauce bottle at a sushi restaurant.
Oh my
and now
gosh.
$500,000 lawsuit.
Wow.
But it does make sense, right? I mean, these things they all connect, right? Because you do something stupid like that, you put that out there, then that goes viral, and then people stop going to the restaurant, and then next thing you know, like it creates problems, man. You're hurting businesses. So,
we will have to do a deep dive here soon on this Mincy guy over in the UK. Have you seen him?
Just a little bit.
I mean, he is just, I presume but he is just running like a straight amok. Like I don't know how no one's like hurt this kid with some of the stuff that he's doing, but it's just fueling him to do more and more outlandish and outrageous things to the point where someone is probably going to hurt him, and then he's going to be hurt, and then the person that hurt him is going to be in trouble. And it's just one of these things that's just going to keep culminating. And this is what the internet does, man. It just fuels you to keep going and keep going. And you got to do something bigger and badder next time. Like walking into people's houses and just sitting down, like, and then jumping on cars and, you know, just now he's got followers doing stuff with him. And it's not going to end well. I just cannot imagine it's going to end well. You're just going to mess with the wrong person. I don't trust anyone these days, you know. Like I'm not interested in fighting anyone at this point in time of my life. I mean, you know, you could push me to that point, I'm sure.
Right.
But like, I don't know what anyone's capable of these days. I don't know what someone's carrying or what they have.
That's right.
What kind of background they have. Like, I mean, there's not a whole lot that I'm going to do to try and antagonize other people. So, good for that restaurant. I hope they actually sue him and actually win. And this dude now has to work at the sushi restaurant, and he has to give his entire paycheck to him every week.
That's right.
Yeah.
For a long time. It's going to take a while to pay back $500,000.
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah.
Hey, hopefully maybe make another viral video, see if you can make money off of that to pay back the first one.
Yeah. I wonder even like what he's making, because he's probably putting it on TikTok, and I don't know how much money you're making on those. Are you making anything? Very, very little, I would assume, but
yeah. See, they don't really say the details. So this is in Japan that all of this happened, and so his all it says is that it went viral, but they don't give a lot of the specifics on. But over there, it's like it's a problem. Like they take this stuff very seriously, and apparently there are similar types of videos that get done over there. At places, including some of the Sushiro company's competitors, and they literally gave it the term sushi terrorism. Because you also have to keep in mind how expensive some of this crazy high-end sushi is at these Japanese restaurants. So the term is used broadly to refer to unhygienic actions at Japan's sushi train restaurants, where customers pick dishes from conveyor belts. So these conveyor belts go by, and they're having all these amazing sushi and all of the different things. And then some kid is licking his fingers and putting them on the plate as it goes by the conveyor belt. I mean, that can really screw things up. So now it's sushi terrorism.
Everything is a terrorism thing these days, isn't it? Boy. Yeah. What a name. Sushi terrorism.
Yeah, so anyway, that's what I decided to end on. Instead of ending on a murder story, I thought I'd end on a kid licking a soy sauce bottle.
Yeah, some might be disappointed. They were wanting next murder story. But
I got more. I got more.
We got more. Tune in next week. Yeah. True crimes.
That's right. We're gonna take this show's going in a whole different direction.
Oh yeah, we're completely changing it.
All true crime, murder mysteries. People are like, what the heck is this?
How did this happen?
All right. Well, listen. Anything else? You got anything before we wrap this sucker up?
No. Just trying to take a quick peek here. Heat were up 10, but now Denver scored 6 unanswered. So 42-37, 4:39 left in the second. Miami is currently up. Tyler Hero is officially back tonight. So we'll see if he can make any difference at all there. So in D-Hop and Titans makes 0 sense to me. But there are talks. They were meeting, and they've decided that they were going to stay in touch, whatever that means. So DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, he's going to visit New England, so I think New England makes the most sense. He's got a visit planned. DeAndre Hopkins has a visit planned to go to the Patriots. I think that is the highest likelihood situation.
It makes sense, but I mean, with Bill O'Brien there as the offensive coordinator, I don't know how that works out. Like that, I think it makes the most sense.
I mean, if you think about what DeAndre Hopkins did in Houston, that was when Bill O'Brien was there. So DeAndre might look at it and say, hey, this guy knows exactly how to use me and get the most out of me. And yeah, who knows? I think he should be in Baltimore. I've said it from the very beginning. Said it a year ago that he should be in Baltimore. So that's where I still want to see him.
I just want to see the world burn. I want to see him go to Kansas City. I just take the pay cut and go to Kansas City. I just want to see the world burn, man. That's all it is.
That would do it.
Yeah, that certainly would, man. Certainly would. So we'll see. Maybe by I mean, you got to think he's got to sign somewhere soon. I mean, we're already into some off-season stuff, so you'd think he'd want to get in and learn, but we'll see. He's still got some time, but I'd imagine within the next couple of weeks he would be making that decision. At least I would think so anyway. So unless you just try and get a training camp. I think so too. No. Can't blame him. My betting favorite right now is that DeAndre Hopkins signs with the New England Patriots. I don't want him to, but that's where I lean the most heavily. I think the Bills make too much sense.
He has familiarity with the offensive system that O'Brien would be running, so I feel like he feels like it's an easy plug and play thing. They're missing that wide receiver element. He's going to see the ball a ton. I don't want him there again.
I guess what makes
DeAndre, I have it on pretty good authority that DeAndre Hopkins watches this show. So, DeAndre, I'm telling you now, don't go to New England. You don't need that. You don't need Mac Jones throwing you the ball. You've had Kyler Murray. You had Matt Schaub. You had who's the kid with the no, Davis Mills wasn't there yet.
No, wasn't there yet.
But you've had some rough quarterbacks. All right, so. Let's go somewhere where you have a legitimate quarterback. And Ryan Tannehill's not it either. And apparently Malik Willis isn't it either. So there's nothing happening now. Now maybe it's Will Levis. Maybe it's not Will Levis. Who the heck knows what's going to happen in Tennessee?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're already long on time. We're
long. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We'll do it again.
That's right. We'll try to do better next time. All right. To our global audience, we say thank you for sticking with us. We appreciate you checking us out. Everybody, have a great night, and we will